What would it be like to go back in time to experience some bygone age? The roaring 20s in America, the building of the pyramids in Egypt, Queen Elizabeth I's court in the 16th century, or even events from our parents' childhood or our childhood. The residents of the afterlife tell us it's very possible to travel back in time to any period and witness the events at that time. Children don't learn history in the next life by just reading a book. They learn history by traveling in time to witness the actual events as they happened. In this video, you will hear two speakers living in the afterlife saying that in the afterlife, we will be able to travel to any time and watch the events unfold. Hello, I'm Dr. R. Craig Hogan, President of the Afterlife Research and Education Institute and Seek Reality Online. I'm the author of 8 books with the evidence you will come to the end of this life, but you will never die. Speakers whose bodies have been dead for decades spoke in Leslie Flint seances in the 20th century. Today we have thousands of the recordings. You are about to hear two speakers in Leslie Flint seances explain that people living in the afterlife are able to go to any time in history and witness the actual events as they unfold. There's no need for movies or television in Summerland, the afterlife. People can see the actual events with the real historical figures. The first speaker is Michael Fearon. Michael was formerly a biology master at Taunton School in the UK. He was killed in 1944 in World War II. His mother, Alice Fearon, came often to sit with Leslie Flint and speak with her son in spirit. In a BBC interview, Alice Fearon stated without reservation that she was having normal conversations with her son. In this excerpt from one of his recorded conversations, Michael explains that in the afterlife, they can witness historical events and things that happen in people's lives, including their own past.
What I'm trying to explain is that when there are many facets, if you like, to an individual character or personality, we go from stage to stage and condition to condition. And it is by having the ability to tune in, if you like, to the past. Not only our own past, let me tell you, but the past of the world. I'm talking here about the material world in particular. But we can see the world in all its varying degrees and stages, if we wish, and tune into a particular period of history. Perhaps it may be a period of history in which we ourselves played some part. And we can see ourselves, and we can see in retrospect our lives as they once were. And all this is very interesting and illuminating, but also it gives us an insight into the evolution and development not only of ourselves or the human race. And we learn a wisdom, and a strength is gained from that wisdom, which enables us to visualize not only the present as we know it more clearly, but the future that is yet to come. You see, there is no beginning and no end. And that is what I think is so important and so vital for people to realize, is that life, with the very fact that life is, it still remains and must remain a reality and a permanent thing. There is no beginning and no end, and that is why eternal life is a reality and is understandable to us, because we know that we are going through phases of knowledge and experience and existence. And as we move from one to another, so we gain more experience comes to us, which makes us prepared for a new step or a new venture further afield. And the realization then of eternity doesn't seem, as it so often must do on earth, an impossible thing in itself. No one can visualize, I don't even pretend that we can understand it, but we do see that while we have this reality of life, the possibility of further experience is there. Indeed, we have the vision of it, and it is this vision, like we get quite often, that creates the stepping stones, as it were, for the bringing into focus of that which is yet hidden. It's an extraordinary thing. I don't know how else to describe it. But it's as if sometimes we can see not only backwards but also forwards. But then again, this is all very vague because we talk about back and forth, and we talk about experiences in past lives and the visualization of things yet to come. But this is not something that's again back and forth. This is circular in a sense. The mathematics I'm not very good at, and I don't suppose mathematically one can hope to be able to describe all this that I'm trying to convey. But the whole point is that we must get away from this idea of the past, the future, and the present, because it's much more deep than that. It's much more vast than that.
In this second recording from the archives of Leslie Flint's recordings, a man in the afterlife who gave his name as Mr. Johnson explains that children in the schools there don't simply read about historic events, they're able to travel anywhere in time and witness the events. He explains that we on Earth don't fully understand time. The past, present, and future all exist now. He begins by describing the schools of learning in the afterlife. This is a narration of what he spoke from the transcript of his recording.
Well, these schools of learning are so many and so varied, and any individual can study any particular subject or many subjects as he or she wishes. If you want to go back in time and you want to study the history of man, you wish to go back as it were, you can experience all that. You can go to classes here where there are masters or great teachers who, by the very process of their thought, can transport you temporarily, as it were, back in time, so that you can actually witness and experience and enter into, if you wish, things that have happened centuries and centuries ago to man. For instance, if you had a particular interest in a certain period, shall we say a Roman period or an Egyptian period, not only could you be transported back through the efforts of these great souls who have this wonderful power, by their assistance and help, you can be transported mentally and back temporarily so that you can actually witness these things. You see, everything that has happened is still there. You see, people assume that what happened yesterday no longer exists. Well, of course it still exists, because what has ever happened in a mental state which has brought forth a material reaction, in other words, whatever has transpired or happened is registered, and it's only a matter of tuning in to a certain vibrational wavelength upon which you can re-enter, as it were. You see, people have this strange idea that time is now, but time is yesterday and time is tomorrow. Time, there is no beginning and there is no end. What has happened is still, in a sense, happening. It may not be, in a sense, from your point of view, visible or seeable, or you may not be conscious of it, but it's there, on all the different layers, vibrational layers all around the world. All sorts of things are manifested, all sorts of things are registered. It only needs a sensitivity and the art of knowing how to enter into and tune into different wavelengths, and you can see it all reenacted. In other words, all the things that have been major, vital importance, that have affected man in a sense, and I don't misunderstand me on this, can still be understood and experienced.
From these and many other speakers who came through a variety of mediums, we have learned that the idea of past, present, and future marching in a progression with the past lost, except for records and memories, and the future unknowable and uncertain, is not the true nature of existence. Hermann Minkowski, Einstein's professor, elaborated on Einstein's work to show that existence is in a block, with the past, present, and future all accessible. That means we are no longer bound by the limitations of our Earth experience that has rigid past, present, and future divisions. We will be free to enjoy experiences from any other point in time. It is another reason that although we will come to the end of this life, what is in store for us in the next realm is more exciting and wonderful than we can imagine.